Hello, JaM fam. Thanks for tuning in with us today for our very last episode of JaM the podcast. We have absolutely loved doing this, and we're so excited to share some of our thoughts when we think back on our time in college and doing this podcast and our friendship and just seeing how we've grown in that. So, really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into this. I think we both really enjoy reflecting on things. And so it was really sweet like doing this because I feel like since the semester has ended, I haven't had a chance to like actually sit down and look through different things. And so this was a really sweet opportunity to just think about what we've learned. And yeah, we're really excited to get into this.
Yeah. So we thought we'd start off by just doing like a little update on our lives and what we've been doing. So I graduated May 2nd from MOBEP. Jesselyn's graduating in December. But ever since then, I have gotten a job at MOBEP.
What?
So I went from being a student there, and now I am the digital content specialist for university communications. And so that's been really cool, being able to really practically use what I wanted to do and what I learned at school. I mean, whenever I came to MOBEP, everybody would always ask me, what do you want to do with your life, Maddie? And I was like, I don't know. And then I met the girl who used to have like my position, and just like as a freshman, I was like, oh, what do you do here? And she told me, and I was like, man, like that's what I want to do. Like that would be my dream job.
Aww.
And it opened up my senior year, and I got it. And I've really been liking it so far. So just being able to do stuff I'm passionate about and kind of have that dream job immediately out of college is a huge blessing. So I've absolutely loved that.
Oh, I'm really excited for you. It's been really sweet just seeing all the ways that you have just really taken on this new step and really just gone full-fledged. It's been fun. For me, so I'm not done with school yet. I'm done in December, but I did get a full-time job with The Crossing. It's a church in Chesterfield, Missouri here, and I am the children's admin at their Chesterfield campus.
Yeah.
Which I have loved. I worked there for like 2 or 3 weeks now, but the team there has been really sweet, and I've loved getting to know the culture of the church and how they do ministry and how they focus on different parts. And so I'm really excited to just get more involved, to learn more about what I'll be doing. But it also was like such a God thing. I applied for it, not really thinking that I was going to get the job. I was like, we'll just go for it. And if I don't, we'll do part-time jobs. But God really opened the door, and I'm really excited to see where this is going to take us. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember there was like a month between like when I applied and when I interviewed, and then like another month between when I interviewed and got the job, I think. Maybe a little less than that, but I remember I was applying for other jobs, and I was like, this is so stressful, and I really just want the first job that I applied for, but they might want somebody more experienced, and I just prayed so much. I was like, God, listen, I can be oblivious, so I just really need you to shut all the doors that I'm not supposed to go in so that I know which one I am supposed to go in. And it was just like so clearly ordained by God where I was supposed to be. And I was very thankful for that, because it's what I selfishly wanted, but also it's a way that I can use like my gifts to bring glory to God in a job that I enjoy doing. So that's super cool.
Yeah. It's really sweet when you get to see people, friends and family who have like a deep desire for something, but then seeing how God brings that to happen, because it wasn't just that person's desire, but it was God's desire too. Right. And so that's just a really good testimony. Exciting things. All right. So now we get to kind of reflect on what we've learned our whole life. We're going to cover our whole life right now.
Especially what we've learned the past couple years in college and doing this podcast, just the things that we're taking away from it and using in our jobs and in everything else we do. So
yeah. So for me, there was a lot. When I started thinking about this, I had like a really, really long list. And I was like, okay, what do we need to focus on? And a lot of this stuff, I'm not really sure if it's things that I've learned over the last like year, or if it's just stuff that I've gotten really excited about and like identified now,
Yeah.
looking back on it.
Or like they became bigger, or like
Yes.
almost like you've always known them, but you're like they're highlighted in your life right now.
Yeah. So the two things that I'll kind of go through today is community and what following looks like. So obviously in college, community is a really big deal. It's one of the times in your life when you get to be the most with your peers, with your age group, with people who have the same ideas as you, people who have differing ideas from you. But community is a big part of that. And so the first thing is that community is really messy. And I feel like I've seen that where, and I say that and like, but that's true. You know, you look back and being in community with people is not always the nice, tidy, inline things that you want it to be. But it also is beautiful because the idea of community, of coming together, of being in relationship with one another is something that God has designed. And so while it's messy, because we're people, it's also beautiful. And I think I came into college thinking I knew what it meant to be in community with other people. But over and over, God was like, no, you like community is bigger than that. It's bigger than just being friends with people. It's bigger than just saying hi to them randomly. Like it's more than that. And you're in people's lives for a reason. And so with that, something that I also kind of struggled with a lot, I feel like just in different areas, but throughout college experience, has been the idea that I want to see like the results of things where I'm like, I want to do something and then I want to see the result. And so I think that's part of why I enjoy school and why I enjoy projects and organization, because at the end of it, I get to see what the end product is. But that's not how God works. The Bible says that God brings the increase. And so the thing that we're called to do is to plant seeds in the people's lives around us. The thing with seeds is some of them will sprout up immediately. You'll see a difference. You'll see the excitement. You'll see the understanding. But then there are some seeds that take literally years. Like if you think of trees take years and years and years for anything to happen.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that they're not growing. It doesn't mean that they haven't taken root. It's just, it takes longer. And so something I'm still learning, but also was a really big learning point in was that God brings the increase of things. And this next one is really for me a lot more, but the idea that every moment counts. If anyone has ever seen me walk or has walked with me or has seen me around campus, I am like always in a sprint. I'm like, I don't know why.
Justin's several inches taller than me, and she's much more fit than me, and we're together a lot, especially during college. And so we'd be walking across campus, and I'd be like sprinting to keep up with her. I'm like, you gotta slow down.
And I'd be like, we're doing this today, and I would literally be having conversations, and she would be behind me, and that's just how a conversation would happen.
I think there's a happy medium where I could have had, faster walking, you could have had slower walking.
Right.
Just different things that we're learning.
Yeah, different things we're learning. But with that, understanding that like while I was physically in a hurried state, I also was a lot of times mentally in a hurried state, and how that didn't contribute to strong relationships or strong community with people, because I really do believe that there were probably moments and times and people that I could have had conversations with, or I could have, looked at in the eyes and just been there in the moment. And there could have been an influence or a point that I could have said something, or just being with somebody, and I was too busy to see that. And so that can be transferred now. I need to be conscious of that now, that when I enter into a situation, I need to be present in what is happening. The Bible says not to borrow worries.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Always thinking ahead. So I feel like there's obviously not a bad thing about thinking ahead, planning, having initiative. But then also taking time to like slow down, smell the roses, as they say.
As they say.
Are also good. and correct me if I'm wrong, but this kind of makes me think about how, like in my life, sometimes I would look at Jesslyn's hurriedness, but I would think like, wow, she has so much initiative and like inspired me to keep going and to work on things faster and to put more thought and planning into things. And then on the opposite side, what it kind of thought of was whenever me and Jess first became friends, um, whenever I tend to be the slow walker. I'm just kind of chill. Like, well, I'm just
Yes.
like, hey,
We're
what's
just
going
here.
on?
We're gonna walk.
And one of the first times I saw Jess, she was hurrying somewhere, and I saw her, and I was like, hey, like, what's up? And then immediately we connected on something, and she just like
I
started talking
started
to me.
crying.
Yeah,
We did not know each other. And I was rushing around,
Mhm.
and I don't even remember what it was. I really don't. But you stopped me, and you were like, hey, how are you? And that was exactly where I needed to stop at the exact
Mhm.
moment. And my hurriedness had been covering, whatever it was that I was carrying around. And I just started crying, like right there in front of the library.
It's definitely the Lord's hand.
It was.
It's not me saying like, oh, I did that, but just like an example of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. No. I feel that was like the beginning of our friendship too, which is so sweet. Anyways. Okay, so community. It's messy. God brings the increase. I don't bring the increase. Every moment counts, and so taking those moments and holding them precious. And then lastly, about unity. And at the beginning we said community is messy, but the goal is unity, which is a reflection of Christ, something that the Bible talks about. And you see that a lot of times in like teams, maybe at work or at school or whatever capacity that is. Teams is a really big, important part of community. And the thing that makes team different than community is a team has a singular goal. They have one thing that they're going towards, and it unites them and it holds them together. And that's something that I found to be the best kind of community, is when you were on a team with people where you had one goal and you knew what it was and you were working towards that. And it didn't matter if you wanted something or if another person wanted something else, you guys could come together for the goal of the team.
Right.
And I think that is something that goes deep